Saw this or not, but I wanted to come in this morning very quickly. First of all, I wish you a happy holidays and Merry Christmas and all that stuff, whatever you celebrate. I hope it's happy for you. And also, I want to encourage everybody who gets a little sad at the holidays, maybe because you lost somebody that you love, things like that. I really encourage you to look into therapy. Therapy is something that is beneficial to everybody. I believe every Black person can use it because when you go through trauma, sometimes the biggest thing that's holding you back is yourself, right? So don't hold yourself back. Get the help you need, grow, evolve, become a stronger, better person. You can do it. All right. So anyway, hello. Say hi in the chat. Also, let me know what city you're coming from. So let me just tell you about what was on my mind this morning. I just read this article that was really interesting, where Joe Biden just ended the travel restrictions that existed over 8 African countries. And I'm going to read some of this to you, and then I'll kind of give you a quick Dr. Boyce breakdown on some of this. So it says the Biden administration will lift the travel restrictions it had imposed on 8 African nations to curb the spread of the Omicron variant, according to a senior administration official. The travel restrictions on South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, and Malawi will end on December 31st at midnight. Now, first of all, how many of y'all, give me a yes or no, let's be honest, how many of y'all have ever heard of Lesotho, Eswatini, either one of those two countries? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you've heard of either one of those two countries. Because one of the things I want you to understand about Africa that's really important before I actually dig into Joe Biden's ass on this BS, these travel restrictions, is that Africa is a massive, massive continent. Africa is a massive continent that has dozens of countries with millions of people in them that look just like you. You went to school and you learned about white people, and you really thought that the whole world was white and that you were a minority. You are not no damn minority. Stop calling yourself a minority, please. Take some time. Just take a moment. Take like maybe 20 minutes. Do a little Wikipedia search, a little quick little Google search, and look at the African countries. Just maybe Google search on the population of all the African countries, because that will hopefully help fill in some of the voids. Because sometimes one of the things that abusers do, one of the things that abusers do is this is in a relationship, and you've been in an abusive relationship with white people your whole life. So one of the things that abusers do is to gain power and maintain power over you is they isolate you from your power base. Did y'all know that? So ladies, like if you ever get in a relationship with an insecure man who decides he wants to abuse you, he might say, "Hey, baby, let's move to Alaska. There's a good job out here. I can go and I can shovel ice in Alaska and make an extra $20,000 a year." And you'll be like, "But I don't want to leave DC. This is where my family's at. This is where I can get my babysitters at. This is where my best friends at." And it'll be like, "Well, if you love me, you'll come with me to Alaska." Well, you got to be careful because he might be trying to take you to Alaska so he can beat your ass in private, right? So that he can abuse the hell out of you, and you will tolerate it because you don't feel like you have anywhere to go. I mentioned to you guys a study a few times. Y'all know me. I just like to kind of do streams of consciousness, and I promise you we will hit the Biden thing. But one thing that really fascinated me is I read a study about rats, and they can measure depression in rats by the amount of serotonin in their brain. Serotonin is kind of an indicator of depression, and they found that rats become more depressed when they don't have any options. Did y'all know that? That when rats don't have options and they get in a bad situation, they can't get out, like they'll shock them in the butt and they won't let them move, won't let them leave, then they get very depressed, right? So a lot of times when you go through stuff and you don't feel like you have options, you internalize that pain. And that's why a lot of Black folks carry around a lot of trauma inside their body. If you do research on trauma, my wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. So she schools me on a lot of this stuff. Trauma really even jacks up your whole body. Like trauma stays inside you. And in fact, epigenetics says that trauma can even be passed down to your children. So what I would encourage you to do is address your trauma, deal with it. And also if you get in scenarios with people that want to re-traumatize you, kind of avoid that. That's to me, that's the real social distancing that has to take place. Because these other viruses, they're there. I think it's fine to keep yourself safe, but to me, the real virus is trauma and psychological trauma that people inflict on one another. So be careful about that. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, my website is boycewatkins.com. If you want to know what stocks I'm buying, or you want to get a free trial of my stock market class, or the book club that we do on Wednesdays, we do a lot of stuff in the Black Business School for the community. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com or hit the link in the bio if you're on Instagram. All right, so let's finish talking about Biden and these travel bans. So I mentioned to you earlier, Africa is a place you really want to take some time to study and look into, because there's so many countries there. They have so much going on, whole universes that you've never been exposed to because they don't teach you about Africa in school. Nigeria has over 200 million people. That's about 2/3 of the size of the United States. Ethiopia has 114 million. Egypt has 100 million. The Congo has 90 million. South Africa has 60 million. Tanzania 60 million. Kenya 53 million. Uganda 45 million. Algeria 43 million. Sudan 44 million. Morocco 40 million. So there are massive African countries that it looks like there's 58 listed. The smallest African country, by the way, is St. Helena, which has a tiny little population of 6,000 people. Just a little fun fact in case you ever get stuck on Jeopardy or something. So anyway, so it says that the officials said that the decision was recommended by the CDC in part because health experts now know that the U.S.'s existing COVID jabs are effective at preventing severe disease. I call them jabs. Can't use the V word online. They are at preventing disease for those infected with Omicron. So they are effective at preventing severe disease. So they're not effective at preventing disease. They're not effective at stopping spread of disease. I guess it seems like the one thing that they grab onto, and I'm not saying you should believe it or don't not believe it, but is that it prevents severe disease. And so if anybody ever asks me sort of why I'm still a little bit skeptical of just how this thing has been handled, one, I don't trust it. I think if you look at the history of the government, there's no reason to really trust this government. There's certainly not any reason to trust big pharma. Capitalist organizations. I understand capitalism very well. You guys know my doctorate's in finance, so I know capitalism extremely well. I know how it operates. I know what the incentives are. And the only thing I trust the capitalists to do is to make money. It's like so to some extent, capitalist organizations are the most predictable organizations that there are. You can trust people to be who they are, right? Like if you got a cousin that's a crackhead, don't trust your crackhead to be your babysitter. You don't trust your crackhead to be your loyal friend. But you can't trust a crackhead to be a crackhead, right? Crackheads going to do what they do, right? You know that if there's crack, the crackhead will show up. So if you ever want the crackhead to show up and make sure he cuts the grass, just say, hey, I'm going to have a big bowl of crack waiting for you, right? When you get here to cut the grass, right? Like, I'm not telling you to go sell crack or nothing, but seriously, like that's how you can make sure you know that the crackhead's going to do what you predict is going to do. So corporations are financial crackheads. That's what they are. The capitalist organizations are addicted to money. They're addicted to growth. They're addicted to expanding revenue streams and monetizing everything. So you know that this is what Big Pharma is going to do. Big Pharma is going to do what it does. They make money. They're very good at it. And so I trust them to go make money. So as an investor in Big Pharma, my wife and I made a ton of money on Moderna stock. We bought Moderna at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was a great investment. She gave me a couple extra kisses when I showed her how much money we made. But in terms of trusting Moderna to do anything other than make money, I just don't do that. I don't trust Moderna to take care of my health. I don't believe that they're thinking, our number one goal is to make sure Boyce is okay. As long as we'll lose money just making sure Boyce is okay, right? I don't believe Big Pharma ain't built like that. That's just not what they do, right? So ultimately, with these jabs and stuff, there's the interesting thing is that there was one story that was being told before the jabs came out. Get this jab, everything goes away. You go back to normal, you'll be safe, you won't catch it, you'll be okay. So people would say, oh, well, I got the jab, so I can go and hang out with my friends now. Then next thing you know, it's like people are catching it, people are passing it, whatever. What that tells me is this, and this is not a controversial statement. This is something everyone will agree with, no matter what your position is. And I respect your position. Even if you disagree, I respect it. Okay, I want us to have a respectable conversation here. One thing you cannot disagree with me on is that they knew a lot less about these jabs than they know even right now. That there were things that they did not know that they found out later after they did it, right? Because sometimes when you operate and you move in a panic mode, you just move quickly. You don't think through the long-term implications of your choices, right? You can't argue with me on that because they've admitted that, right? Well, we thought that it would be like this, but we found out it would be like that. So my big question is, as a person who thinks in the future, I think 5 years, 10 years in the future. I live in the year 2027. I live in the year 2038. I live in the year 2045. I don't live in 2021. I'm a weirdo. I'm an alien in that way. And so one of the things I'm thinking about is, what are you going to know in 2027 that you don't know in 2021? What are you going to know in 2038 that you don't know in 2021? Right. And that is the part that makes me say, okay, I get it. I don't disagree with you when you say that this reduces the chances of getting extra sick and it reduces the viral. I believe all of that. I just believe also that there's another jab that I received from God called my immune system, and that you haven't in one time in all your mentions of jabs and pills and big pharma solutions, which are going to make money, you have not at one point talked to me at all or anybody at all about maintaining our immune system. So again, this is the interesting thing about big pharma. They will literally look at somebody who is 100 pounds overweight, who is drinking liquor and drinking and smoking all day, right? Like, and doing everything, not getting enough sleep, not drinking enough water, not taking care of their body, eating cheeseburgers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they will say that what you're doing is perfectly fine. We don't want to fat shame you. We don't want to judge you, but we are going to judge you if you don't get our jab. We're not going to judge you for sitting around doing everything in your power to ruin your body. We're not going to judge that because we don't want to be mean. We don't want to be mean to Lizzo because Lizzo told us being fat was a wonderful thing, right? But we are going to judge you if you don't get the jab. So this is where I end up calling some of my critics hypocrites. That's what y'all are. Y'all hypocrites. Because right, so you're hypocrites because on one hand, remember, because y'all remember back in a few months ago, remember when I was kind of saying I don't really like what's going on with this whole Lizzo thing, like why are we marketing obesity like that's a good thing, and everybody said, oh, that's mean, boys, you're fat shaming, shame on you, boys. But yet later on when I say, well, I don't want to get that jab, I don't think anybody should have to get it if they don't want to get it, suddenly you're shaming me. You're trying to shame me, right? You're telling me, well, it's bad. So one hand, you're telling me I shouldn't judge when we're not taking care of our bodies, but I'm supposed to judge now that we ain't getting the jabs. But again, y'all know me. My standard response is a big old fuck you, right? Because I don't argue with stupid people, and also I also believe in freedom, and I believe that you have the freedom to handle every situation the way you want. One of the things that's very fascinating to me as well, and this relates to Biden's travel bans and on Africa and all that, which was a complete overreaction. It was incredibly racist. Is remember when Trump accurately referred to, and this is not defending Trump, this is just defending facts. Remember when he's accurately said that this was the Chinese virus, and they were like, that's racist. That's stop Asian hate. That's racist. That's racist. So anybody remember that? Give me a yes or no if you remember with the whole conversation about the Chinese virus. And they said, and they asked him, they said, so don't you think it's racist to call it the Chinese virus? Why do you call it the Chinese virus? And he said, because it's from China. And and I was like, I just thought it was really funny because I was like, yeah, it's the Chinese virus. Like we have the Spanish flu, right? And now now you've got the South African variant. Nobody's calling that racist. Nobody called it racist when you called it the South African variant. And I didn't think it was racist. I was like, yeah, well, if it came out of South Africa, then why not? Why not give it a name, right? But then what was interesting was that they decided, again, in kind of a white supremacist fashion, to punish these countries for doing research, for having good researchers who said, hey, we found a new variant. Everybody look out. It could be bad. Be careful. They're like, oh, well, we need to stay away from y'all. So now what incentive is there for any African country, any African scientist to reveal to the European nations what they find in their lab? I wouldn't tell them nothing. I'd be like, no, everything's good. Ain't no new variants. We all right. Everybody's safe. Because here's the other thing too. So they went and they overreacted. They banned travel for all these countries. This has huge economic implications. These countries need their tourism in order to survive economically. These countries need to be able to get to places, right? So you literally isolated them from the world before you knew the facts. And those of us who think a little bit, again, that's why I'm proud of the fact that this is a platform for intelligent Black people. This ain't no platform for stupid people. Those of us who think a little bit were like, that's awfully quick. Like, you don't even know anything. I was reading about it, and they were like, we found this new thing and we don't know what it is, but we're all going to freak out. And we're all going to start making these definitive actions based on this stuff that doesn't seem to be pretty bad, but we don't know what it is. So we don't know. So just to be safe, we're going to shut this. You're going to shut Africa out of the global economy. What? Huh? Shouldn't you talk to, and then I started reading further, right? I started reading further and I saw with the African doctors who had these patients in their lab, the first doctor who found it, they said, so what's going on with the patients, doctor? Are they dying? No. Well, okay, well, are they going to the hospital? No, none of them have even gone to the hospital. Well, what are the symptoms? Sore throat, sniffles, little fatigue. Well, shit, that sounds like some stuff you could fix with NyQuil, man. Go take two of these and call me in the morning. Like, go home and get some sleep. Drink plenty of fluids. Like, seriously, I was like, am I the crazy one? I literally, sometimes I watched The Matrix with my wife. Sometimes I feel like I live in the Matrix because I was like, am I the crazy one? Because there's absolutely nothing I just read in this article that makes me nervous. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I don't catch a cold and think I'm going to die. And then all the celebrities to this day, still right now, celebrities are all announcing it. Like, they're announcing online. So Stephen A. Smith caught Omicron. Oh God, is Stephen gonna die? Is he gonna make it? Yeah, Stephen just stayed home and he's at home watching TV, chilling. Right. Roland Martin caught the virus. Well, shoot, Roland's a little, he's a little roly-poly, man. I'm kind of worried. Like, man, this big boy might, he might want to be careful. And he's not a spring chicken. So I, genuinely, out of genuine concern, I'm like, okay, are you all right, man? You okay? Oh, I'm fine. But everybody need to get their jab. Why are we politicizing this personal situation that you're having? Why are you announcing this in every headline? That's what I don't understand. You know what it reminds me of? These announcements, these announcements where people catch it and then nothing happens. Pay attention now. Every time they announce some famous person caught it and then nothing, there's no follow-up. There is no, well, so-and-so was just rushed to the hospital. There is no, so-and-so just died. Did it today? Oh my God, today Tom Cruise died. It's terrible. None of that, right? And so, it reminds me of like when Diddy gets online. Don't disrespect the Diddy, but I call BS on something. He'll go out and he'll be like, "Hey y'all, we gonna go start a black political party," and then he gets like 10,000, 100,000 likes on the post, and then nothing happens. Or Al Sharpton says, "We're gonna hold a march and a rally," and you hold a march and a rally, and everybody gets all pumped up, and then nothing happens. There is no follow up. That's what I'm seeing. So there are a lot of people who go for the orgasm, basically, but don't want to actually raise the baby. They don't give birth to anything. They don't actually raise a child. They're just trying to go bust a nut and move on to the next situation. That's literally what it is. It is an emotional orgasm. It is basically like, I'm going to have this burst of energy where I'm going to pop out here and so-and-so caught the variant. Oh my God, they caught it. Oh my God. And then nothing happens. Prove me wrong. Go find 10. I need to find 10. I need 10. Find me 10 examples of a really famous person where they announced that they caught Omicron and the person died. Like, the person died. So I think that this whole thing with Biden blocking African countries from traveling to the United States, that's absolute bullshit. It was incredibly racist. If Trump had done it, everybody'd be screaming from the rooftops because he's the racist, but Biden isn't. Well, newsflash, people, they're both racist. Go look at Biden's history. Some people don't think history goes back further than 5 years, apparently, because if you go back and you listen to Biden's speeches in the 1990s, speeches he gave about your children, some of those children are now adults. Speeches he gave about you, he talked about you like you were a fucking animal. He said these kids growing up in these urban neighborhoods with one parent, we need to eliminate them. We need to eliminate them. It makes me sad, but we need to go listen to the speech, man. Just go listen to the damn. And the idea that there are people who think that this man has evolved, has changed, it freaks me out. It really just makes me I have to stop myself from saying, how dumb can we be? Because that's kind of mean. I don't want to be mean. Because, I'm as a professor, I have to sometimes remember, like, some boys, not everybody is at that level. So you got to kind of chill out, right? Because it seems like common sense to me. But I really encourage you to look at the writing on the wall. Maya Angelou used to say, when people show you who they are, you better believe them. Just like dating. If he done showed you 50 reasons why he's going to destroy your life, break your heart, ruin you, and give you 8 diseases, then you probably need to hit the exit door before all that comes to pass, because at that point you're not so much a victim anymore. You're a person who's sort of willingly participating in something that is going to be harmful to you, right? That goes back to my original premise in the very beginning, that all of us can use some therapy, right? So if you're in that category, get you some therapy, because a lot of us self-destruct, right? So with that being said, I'll come back a little bit later and talk to you guys about what's going on with markets and investing and everything else. I want to remind you all, please, please, please get a share of stock for your kids for Christmas. Or also I mentioned going to powernomics.com, getting some of Dr. Anderson's books for your family. Like, just start being the smart one in your family. You don't even have to be that smart to do it. Just start doing smart things. Like I'm giving you a book for Christmas instead of just toys, or here, I bought my kids some stock. I buy my kids stock every single month. If you do that consistently, you're going to get them out of this slavery loop that a lot of people get caught up in, because they'll have this basic thing called financial security. So unlike those rats in the cage I told you about, where they get trapped and they start getting depressed, they won't be trapped like rats. They won't feel the depression that comes with not having options. See, white supremacy, the abusive nature of white supremacy pretty much looks to put you in a situation where you have no choice but to go back to the master to get the things that you need. So get your kids out of the matrix, get your kids out of the loop. Go ahead, start planning ahead. That's how you win battles. You win battles by planning ahead. People who plan ahead always win. People who have the ability to delay gratification always win. In fact, a Yale professor did a study on an unscientific study, admittedly, but it was profound. The ideas made sense, where she looked at the most successful cultures on earth. And she said the most successful cultures are the Nigerians and the Jewish community. And she said the three things that make those cultures successful are: one, pay attention now, listen, write it down if you have to. One, an overcommitment to education. If you go to any Nigerian family, 9 times out of 10, they have their kids up in the books all the time. They ain't nobody running around twerking. Ain't a whole lot of basketball and football. Ain't a whole lot of hoop dreams. Ain't a whole lot of people talking about I'm gonna be a rapper one day. They got their kids like, he's gonna be a doctor. He's gonna be a scientist. He's gonna be a lawyer. He's gonna be whatever, right? So education, like high commitment to education. Number 2 was a sense of pride and superiority, like just being proud of who you are, proud of where you come from. If you know where you come from and you know who you are, then people can't sort of flip you in any old direction and have you falling for the okie doke, because you say, that's not who I am. I'm not participating in none of that. So you got to know what your core values are, where you come from, all that. The third piece was the ability to delay gratification. That's all that is investing. That's all investing is. All investing is delay gratification. And if you pay attention, this is the matrix that you live in. The matrix you live in is one that programs you to engage in excessive amounts of instant gratification. If you watch TV shows, you see people making all kinds of terrible decisions, blowing their money on Gucci bags, having sex without a condom. Don't nobody say nothing about the whole lot of sex in these TV shows, man. Nobody talking nothing about wearing no condoms, right? A whole lot of just chaotic drama, just very sort of reacting to the moment kinds of choices that you see that are promoted in music and to some extent in some of the movies that you watch. So ultimately, the people that become successful are the ones who can do the opposite of that. The ability to delay gratification, that's all investing is. Investing means I'm going to give up $2 today so I can have $4 tomorrow. That's what investors do, and those are the ones who become rich people. That's how you become rich. So the question is, can you delay gratification? If you teach that to your kids early, then your kids are going to be very successful. They're not all these problems that they think automatically come with being Black, that won't apply to them. They'll say, I don't really know what you're talking about. I mean, I know white people don't like me that much, but I don't need white people like me, because I like myself and I'm doing pretty well. And I got $800,000 in the bank and I can quit my job tomorrow, because my parents had the ability to delay gratification. So they sacrificed for me and they planted some seeds. And now I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock. So I really don't have to work for anybody if I don't want to. And I know who I am and I'm pretty happy, right? Happiness is not out of reach for Black people, right? And I really encourage you not to get into spaces where people talk about Blackness as if it means you must be miserable all the time. That is simply not true. That is something that is taught to you so that because if I get you psychologically sick, then I get to make myself into the hero, right? So ultimately what America does, what white supremacy does, is they tell you that you're weak. They tell you can't do anything on your own. They tell you that you're broken and busted and pathetic. And then they come along and they throw you a couple crumbs and you say, thank you, master, for the crumbs. I couldn't have made it without you. And next thing you know, you become a white supremacist too. That's the matrix that you're in. And that's the system that you've been born into. So grow outside that system and then you're going to be successful. And make sure your kids don't participate in any of that stuff because it's stupid. All right, guys, I got to go. I got a meeting. By the way, if you want to see what stocks I'm buying, just click on the link in the bio. If you're on Instagram, you can go to boycewatkins.com. Also, my wife and I did an analysis on that movie, The Matrix. You know, she's a psychotherapist, so she has a lot to say about how that movie breaks down. So you can feel free to go to boycewatkins.com and look for Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. This is where we just kind of get together against our pillows and have, we like to have thought-provoking conversations. I'm a professor. She's a professor too. So it's kind of like awesome. We sort of feed off each other's superpower, and I love her for that. If you ever want to make your life better, get you a smart black woman. That's the key to success. All right, guys, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I'm gonna keep checking with y'all, all through Christmas and all that stuff because that's what I do. I like talking to you on a regular basis just to see how you're doing. All right, so be happy. God bless you. Love you. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.